Right now, as you are reading this title, there are apps sitting on your phone that have a direct line to your camera. Not when you open them, not when you press record. Right now, quietly, in the background. While your phone sits face down on a table, locked, screen off, certain apps have been granted the legal ability to activate your camera the moment they decide to. And the most disturbing part of this entire story is not the hackers. It is not the government's surveillance tools. It is the permission you gave away yourself, freely, the day you downloaded that app and tapped allow without reading a single word. This video is going to change how you look at every app on your phone. And by the end of it, you will know exactly what to turn off, where to find it, and why it matters more in 2026 than it ever has before. Let us start with what is actually happening, because this story has layers, and most people only know the surface one. The conversation usually goes like this. Someone online says their phone is listening to them because they had a private conversation about running shoes, and then saw running shoe ads 20 minutes later. Tech companies deny it. Experts explain it away with targeting algorithms and data inference. And most people walk away confused, unsure who to believe. But here's the thing. The debate about whether your phone is listening to you for ads is actually the wrong conversation to be having. Because while everyone is arguing about that, there is a much more documented, much more verifiable, much more legally established reality sitting right underneath it. Apps on your phone have camera and microphone, permissions that they use in ways you did not fully understand when you said yes. And the evidence for this is not a conspiracy theory. It is a federal lawsuit filed in the United States District Court for the Northern District of California. In July 2020, iPhone users started noticing something. Apple had released a beta version of iOS 14, and one of its new features was a small green dot that appeared in the top corner of the screen whenever an app activated the camera. This was a transparency feature. Apple was essentially building a tiny window into something your phone was always doing that you simply could not see before. And the moment that window opened, Instagram got caught. Users started reporting that the green dot was lighting up while they were doing nothing camera-related at all, just scrolling through their feeds. Just reading posts, just existing inside the app with no intention of taking a photo. And the green camera indicator was turning on anyway. An Instagram user named Brittany Candidi filed a federal lawsuit in September 2020, accusing Instagram and its parent company Facebook of intentionally and secretly using the camera to collect, and this is a direct quote from the complaint, lucrative and valuable data on its users that it would not otherwise have access to. The lawsuit stated that Instagram was constantly accessing users' smartphone camera feature, while the app is open and monitors users without permission. Facebook's response was that it was a bug, a software error. The camera indicator was firing incorrectly, they said, and the camera was not actually being used. They said they fixed it. But the lawsuit was filed anyway, and the question that never fully went away was this. If iOS 14 had not accidentally built that little green dot, how long would anyone have gone without knowing? And Instagram was not alone in being caught by that iOS 14 update. TikTok was found accessing users' clipboards, copying whatever text you had last copied on your phone every few seconds in the background. LinkedIn was doing the same thing. Reddit. Multiple major apps were caught doing things with your phone's data that you had no idea were happening, all exposed by a single operating system update that gave users a window they never had before. TikTok blamed an anti-spam measure. LinkedIn said they would stop the practice. Reddit said it was fixing a piece of code. Every single one of them called it unintentional. Every single one of them said it was being fixed. And every single one of them was only caught because Apple quietly built a transparency feature that gave users visibility they had never been offered before. Now zoom forward to 2025 and 2026. And the research coming out of cybersecurity firms is striking. A study by NowSecure, testing over 23,000 distinct iOS apps in August 2025, found that 35% of the iOS apps tested failed to disclose the data they were collecting. 42% were missing their main privacy manifest, the document where developers are supposed to be transparent with users about what data they take and share. And 97% were missing required privacy manifests for their third-party software development kits. These are the invisible tools that sit inside apps built by other companies, often doing their own data, collection that even the app developer does not fully control. On the Android side, the same research found that 10% of Android mobile apps do not post any data safety section in the Google Play Store at all. The legal requirement exists. The disclosure is supposed to be there. And 1 in 10 apps simply does not bother. On top of that, separate analysis of over 90 popular apps conducted in May 2025 found that 75% of iOS apps tested and 70% of Android apps have both sensitive data and tracking domains built into them simultaneously. These are not fringe apps from unknown developers. These are popular apps, the kind you almost certainly have installed right now. And then there's the issue that goes far beyond what any app is doing intentionally, which is spyware. Real, documented, verified spyware that can access your camera without your knowledge, without your permission, without triggering any indicator on your screen, and without you ever clicking a single thing. This is not a hypothetical. It has a name, it has a developer, it has a price tag. It is called Pegasus, and it was built by an Israeli company called NSO Group. Pegasus is a surveillance tool sold exclusively to governments, priced at $10 million or more per deployment, and it can do things to a smartphone that sound like they belong in a spy film but are completely real and thoroughly documented. It gains access using what security researchers call zero-click vulnerabilities, exploits in the phone's operating system so severe that the attacker does not need you to tap a link, open a file, or do anything at all. The infection can arrive through a missed WhatsApp call you never even answered, through an iMessage notification you never saw, through a system-level process running silently in the background. Once inside, Pegasus has complete device control. It reads your encrypted messages. It activates your camera without the indicator light glowing. It activates your microphone. It logs your keystrokes. It tracks your location in real time. And then, with extreme sophistication, it covers its tracks, with variants that self-destruct after exfiltrating data, leaving minimal forensic evidence behind. The timeline of documented Pegasus incidents is not small. In 2019, a WhatsApp vulnerability was exploited to infect approximately 1,400 users' devices. In 2021, an exploit called forced entry was used to bypass Apple's own sandboxing protections, a security layer Apple had specifically built to stop exactly this kind of attack. In 2023, an exploit chain called BlastPass infected iPhones running iOS 16.6 without a single tap from the victim. In 2024, Citizen Lab confirmed Pegasus was actively used against civil society in Jordan. In early 2025, a zero-click WhatsApp campaign targeting approximately 90 journalists was attributed to Paragon, a separate Israeli spyware vendor operating a competing product called Graphite, demonstrating that NSO Group is no longer the only commercial vendor with this level of capability. In December 2024, WhatsApp won a court ruling against NSO Group and was awarded $167 million in damages. NSO Group has faced U.S. government sanctions, being placed on the U.S. entity list in 2021, restricting American companies from doing business with them. Google's Threat Intelligence Group documented 75 zero-day vulnerabilities actively exploited in 2024 alone, with the trend accelerating into 2025. Now, before this starts sounding like a reason to throw your phone into the ocean, the important context is this. Pegasus and tools like it are targeted. They are expensive. At $10 million per deployment, they are not being used against random people. They are aimed at journalists, activists, lawyers, executives, politicians, and dissidents in high-risk environments. The average person is not a target of Pegasus. But the existence of these tools and the zero-day vulnerabilities they exploit matters to everyone, because those same vulnerabilities live in the phone in your pocket until Apple or Google patches them. The 5-day window between a vulnerability being discovered and a patch being deployed is where the most dangerous exploitation happens, which is why the single most effective thing any person can do, regardless of who they are or whether they are a high-value target, is keep their phone updated. Every software update, every security patch. Do not delay them. The updates are closing the exact doors that these tools walk through. But sophisticated spyware is not the threat most people are actually exposed to. The threat most people face is far simpler, far more legal, and in some ways, far more insidious. It is the quiet reality of permission creep. The way that over months and years of downloading apps and tapping allow without reading. The collection of permissions you have granted builds up into something you would never have agreed to if you had seen the full list in one place. A 2025 survey of 330 businesses worldwide found that 73% of respondents said it bothered them when apps asked for data collection permissions. But the same survey revealed that most users simply accept the permission requests anyway, because the app does not work without them, or because the pop-up appears at a moment when they just want to use the thing. And once you grant a permission, most people never think about it again. As the app sits on your phone, time passes. You forget you gave it camera access, and it still has that access. Here's what that looks like in practice. A flashlight app with camera permission, a weather app with microphone access, a game that requested your location and your camera during installation, a photo editing app you downloaded once, used for a week, and forgot about, that still has access to your camera and photo library right now. A beauty filter app, and there is a documented case of this, where a Cyber News senior researcher found that an app called Beauty Camera by Phila App Store accessed his device camera without even asking for camera permission in the first place. These are not theoretical examples, they are real. The good news is that both Apple and Google have been building better tools to help you see this. On modern iPhones, the orange dot at the top of your screen lights up when the microphone is active. The green dot lights up when the camera is active. These indicators are tied to the hardware at the system level, meaning standard apps cannot suppress them. If you see that dot appearing when you're not doing anything that requires camera or microphone use, that is the moment to pay attention. On Android 12 and later, the same system exists. A green indicator appears in the top corner when any app is using the camera or microphone. Android also includes a privacy dashboard, accessible through settings and then privacy, that shows you a full timeline of which apps accessed your camera, microphone, and location over the past 24 hours, with exact timestamps. This tool exists right now on your phone, and most people have never opened it once. So here is what you actually need to do. And these are real steps, verified steps, that work on current devices in 2026. On Android, go to Settings, then Privacy, then Permission Manager. Select Camera. You will see every single app on your phone that has camera access sorted into 3 groups. Apps allowed all the time, apps allowed only while in use, and apps that must ask each time. Go through that list. Any app that does not have an obvious, genuine reason to need your camera should be changed to either ask every time or don't allow. Then go back and do the exact same thing for microphone, and then do it for location. While you are there, turn on the privacy dashboard if it is not already showing as active, so you can check that timeline whenever something feels off. On iPhone, go to Settings, then scroll down to Privacy and Security. Tap Camera. You will see the same kind of list, every app that has requested camera access and what level of access they currently have. The options are Never Ask or While using the app. For any app that does not absolutely need your camera, set it to Never. Do the same thing under microphone. The rule of thumb is simple. If you cannot immediately explain why this specific app needs access to your camera or microphone to function, revoke it. A mobile game does not need your microphone. A shopping app does not need your camera running in the background. A calculator does not need location access. There is no logical reason for these permissions to exist, and in many cases, they exist only because the app asked during installation and you tapped allow without thinking. Beyond permissions, there are 2 more settings worth knowing about. The first is background app refresh. On both Android and iPhone, this setting allows apps to continue running processes in the background while you're not actively using them. For most apps, this has no legitimate purpose that benefits you. It primarily benefits the app, allowing it to fetch data, refresh content, and in some cases, maintain connections you did not knowingly initiate. Turning off background app refresh for apps you do not actively use is a meaningful step toward reducing what those apps can do when your phone is locked and sitting on your desk. On iPhone, go to Settings, then General, then Background App Refresh, and you can disable it entirely or on an app-by-app basis. On Android, the equivalent is in Settings, then Apps, where you can restrict background activity for individual apps. The second is regular app audits. Go to your phone right now and look at the full list of every app you have installed. You will almost certainly find apps you have not opened in months, apps you downloaded once for a specific purpose and forgot about. Each one of those dormant apps is a collection of permissions just sitting there, granted and forgotten, attached to software you no longer even use. Deleting apps you do not need is the cleanest possible solution. It is not just revoking the permission, it is removing the app from the equation entirely. Now back to the question of whether your phone is actually listening to you for ads, because this channel promised to give you the complete picture, not just the alarming half. The documented reality is this. Major tech companies deny continuous ambient listening for advertising purposes, and there is no verified technical proof that it is happening in that specific way. But what is documented and proven is that the data inference capabilities of modern advertising platforms are so powerful that they often do not need to listen to produce eerily relevant ads. They have your location history, your browsing history, your purchase history, your app usage patterns, your contact list, your search terms, and in many cases, data shared between apps through advertising software development kits. The ad that feels like your phone heard you was almost certainly produced by an algorithm that knows enough about your behavior patterns to predict what you're thinking about before you say it out loud. That is not more comforting than listening. In some ways, it is less comforting. The listening you can block with a permission toggle. The inference engine runs on data you have been generating for years. What 2026 has made clear between the now secure research, the Paragon spyware campaign targeting journalists, the ongoing legal battles over data practices, and the rollout of more AI-integrated operating systems that will have deeper access to more device functions than ever before, is that the relationship between the apps on your phone and your private life is not going to become simpler. It is going to become more layered, more connected, and more consequential. The tools to protect yourself exist. They are built into your phone right now. The privacy dashboard, the permission manager, the camera and microphone indicators. These are real, functioning, accessible features that most people have never once used. The 5 minutes it takes to go through your camera and microphone permissions right now is the most direct privacy action available to any person with a smartphone in 2026. Not because every app is malicious, not because hackers are watching through your camera right now, but because the permissions you have quietly accumulated without reviewing them represent a kind of access to your life that you almost certainly did not consciously choose to give. And unlike most privacy threats that require technical knowledge to address, this one does not. It just requires opening your settings and reading a list